Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Crimes, Killers, Cults,
And beer.
And beer.
and beer. Um, oh, man. Special episode tonight. I've got my two bestest podcast buddies here with me. We got History Goon, Matt Carleton. God damn it. Yes, here we go. Here we go.
First name, right last name, wrong people.
Kevin Carleton, the History Goon. And we have Murder Matt of the Mighty Murder Coaster here. How's it going, guys?
It's good.
Going all right.
What's funny is if we had done this like I don't know, 8 months ago when I still had my hair, we would have looked like brothers. That would have been like the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, you. But anyway, for my listeners, for Murder Coasters listeners, for history, both of y'all start with Kevin. Fuck, there's a cat fight outside my window. Lovely.
Wow.
Did you hear it?
No.
I can a little bit, yeah.
Anyway, Kevin, tell us about your podcast a little bit.
Yeah, I'm the host over at the History Goon podcast. Cover pretty much all things history. I fall mostly into like war stuff because that's what I find interesting. I occasionally do a little bit of crime, not like full blown true crime, but I do like when I do like dip my toe into it, it's like organized crime, like mobsters, bank robberies, stuff like that. Because my previous show I did a little bit of true crime, and after I had my son, I got soft and I couldn't keep reading about people getting like stabbed in the face and having like all their guts and shit ripped out. I'm like, no, I don't like reading about this anymore because I got soft. Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. The last episode that I just recorded, that'll be out in a couple weeks. Oh, hold on here. My camera's being stupid. There we go. Was about a genocidal maniac that I got to read 2 books about and be embarrassed to be a human being for, having somebody like that exist. But good times.
Murder Matt.
I'm the co-host of Murder Coaster podcast, which is true crime reenactments. We like have scripts and we have sound effects and my co-host is a Stoker Award-winning horror author, Krista Carmen. She's absolutely amazing, and we like turn true crime into like little mini plays, kind of. It's a lot of fun. We get wild with it. Good music, I think. We play a lot of good music.
Yeah, I'm just waiting on your Danny Rolling episode.
Yeah.
Both these guys have been on multiple episodes. If you're new to CKCB, both these guys have been on multiple episodes. I think they're probably pretty close to being tied on just how many they've done. I think Kevin's done like 6. I think Murder Matt here has done probably about the same. Funny.
At least, yeah,
maybe more, maybe but no less. I think both of y'all are at the minimum 6.
I was gonna say I've definitely done almost as many episodes of your show as I have my own at this point.
Well, it's fun. I mean, it's just it's just the way the dice rolled for me. I mean, you're solo by yourself. Murder Matt has Krista. They're a lock stock unit and everything, but it wasn't always that way. Krista hasn't been there the entire time.
No, I had this tattoo artist at first, Sarah Hartman. She was fun. She had a good voice, but just didn't.
It just
we
wasn't
did
for her.
12 episodes with her, but this is all. I've done over 100 now with Krista. So
yeah, you're catching up to me. Kevin here, if you could, both of his podcasts, he's got both of us beat combined.
Oh boy, yeah, the old show with Patreon, I think we were close to 400 episodes. We did 299 episodes of the regular show, and then 135 Patreon episodes, something like that.
Yeah.
What was that show?
Dark Windows. It's been defunct since like October. Yeah, late September, early October last year.
something like that.
Yeah. My wife decided that it would be a good idea if we got divorced. So I was like, yeah, I guess I can't do this anymore because I have to focus on other stuff. And then I was like, yeah, I got to get back into podcasting or else I'm going to go crazy. So I have something to do. Can't play Ghost Recon forever. So I tried, but just, didn't work out.
So, but guess what? I have a swerve for all you listeners because I'm not hosting this episode tonight. Kevin, the history goon, is taking over CKCB, and neither me nor Murder Matt have any clue what he has in store for us tonight.
Well, get ready for the double swerve when I screen share my notes and make you do it instead. No, I wouldn't do that. Because I write the episodes how I talk, so you'd be like, what the fuck is he talking about?
You don't hear me knife stabbing you?
I do. I saw the eyes, and you're like, you son of a bitch.
What now?
I saw the look in your eyes, the you son of a bitch look.
Anyway, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Kevin, and let's do this thing.
All right, and if you're cool with it, I'm going to start it off how I would an episode of History Goon.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can put this episode on History Goon if you want.
Here we go. Quote, I hanged those 10 Nazis and I'm proud of it. I wasn't nervous. A fellow can't afford to have nerves in this business. I want to put in a good word for those GIs who helped me. They all did. They all did so well. I'm trying to get them a promotion. The way I look at it is hanging is a job. Somebody has to do it. I got into it kind of by accident years ago in the States. That was John C. Woods. My name is Kevin, and this is Crime, Killers, Cults, and Beer. Right? That was pretty slick, and I just that'd be a fun way to do that.
I'll edit the coughs out. Just don't do it too many times.
So unfortunately, we're not talking about just a guy that hung Nazis. We're also going to talk about a series of botched executions throughout history that were a lot of fun to do research for. Throughout time, we as a species have come up with all kinds of creative and disturbing ways to kill each other for some reasonable and some exceptionally dumb and some exceptionally dumb ones also. What we're talking about here is those executions that didn't go right and can end in a horrifying and sometimes hilarious manner. Throughout time, we as a species have come up with all kinds of creative and disturbing ways to kill each other for some reasonable and some exceptionally dumb reasons. What we're talking about here is, smoking cigarettes is cool. What we're talking about here is when those executions don't go the right way and can end in horrifying and sometimes hilarious ways. Our first story is that of Margaret Pole, who is the Countess of Salisbury. I'm not going to get into the entire royal bloodline thing because it's complicated and convoluted, and
it's like the begat sections of the Bible.
Yes, where it's like 5 or 6 pages where you're just like, oh my God, who had who? Okay, we get it. This guy was like 900 years old. We'll just keep going. And when do we get to the boat? So yeah, the whole royal bloodline thing is complicated and convoluted. But for now, she's the only surviving daughter of George Plantagenet and the niece of Edward IV and Richard III. She was arrested in November of 1538 for her involvement in the Exeter conspiracy, which is some old-timey royal British bullshit to overthrow King Henry VIII and replace him with Henry Courtenay, who's the first Marquis of Exeter.
You know, he got married to the widow next door and that she had been married 7 times before.
Second verse, same as the first, actually. I don't even remember who did that song, but I remember
and the Hermits, man.
Okay. I remember being a teenager working at KFC and singing it super loud to the point that the manager up front would get real pissed off and come back and yell at us in the kitchen. And we did it because it made her crazy. Hi, Mom. How are you?
I thought Matt would be all over that, too.
So on the morning of May 27th, 1541, the guards arrived at her cell and told her that she would be dead within an hour. And they also found a poem that she had scrolled on the wall. And I am going to read that for you because it is so badly written that it has to be shared.
It was like BTK's writings.
Oh, you're going to like it. For traitors on the block should die. I am no traitor. No, not I. My faithfulness stands fast, and so towards the block I shall not go, nor make one step, as you shall see. Christ in thy mercy, save thou me. I don't think that Jesus got her email, unfortunately. They dragged her from her cell to the Tower of London, and
That was better than BTK's writings.
not
No,
much.
it was a lot better.
I'm about to see if I get put on a watch list because I just ordered a copy of Ted Kaczynski's manifesto. So, you know,
Welcome to the club.
I mean, I didn't order like Mein Kampf with it or anything, so I should be okay. I'm like, my FBI agent's already listening, but he'd be very interested in that. So they drag her from her cell they drag her from her cell in the Tower of London and down to the scaffold. Unfortunately, since she was a member of the royalty, her execution was not carried out in front of the public. There are 2 different written accounts on her execution.
I was just going to ask you about that. It's just like, okay, so what really happened?
Yeah. So one is from the French ambassador and one is from the ambassador from the Holy Roman Empire. And they told kind of the same story, except one talked about the trouble she gave the executioners. Apparently, this crusty old bitch decided that when they laid her down to meet the axe, it'd be the best policy here would be to thrash around and scream, quote, "So should traitors do, and I am none." The headsman raised the axe in front of 150 onlookers, all of which were highborn, and drops the steel across the back of her neck. He raises it again and slams it down again and again and again. With her flopping around and making everybody's life difficult, it would take 11 strokes of the axe to kill her. Not clean, not quick. The axeman essentially smashed her skull to bits and basically took her head off by blunt force trauma.
Okay, wait a minute.
It's a bad executioner.
Yeah, yeah. He needs to be repurposed somewhere else. But okay, do we feel bad for her or not? I missed that part because behind the scenes stuff. Was she a bitch? Did she deserve it? You did call her a crusty old hag.
I haven't had any reason to give a shit about the British royalty since like 1775. So
fair point.
Like everybody's like, "Oh my god, the royal wedding," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't care." At least they're not marrying their cousins anymore and having like kids with webbed feet and underbites. So,
You ever see Prince Charles's fingers, man?
Oh my god.
What? Really?
Hey, Google it, dude. Take a look, dude. Just Google Prince Charles
right
fingers.
Now?
Sure, I don't know if you want to see some weird shit.
Throw a picture up and see if you can find one of Prince Philip where he looks like one of the zombies from Skyrim.
It's too long. Too long to set up, and I'm having issues anyway. So let's not. It's going fine now. Let's keep it that way.
He looks like a Draugr sitting in a car. It's pretty bad.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to.
So you could imagine feeling bad for ye old janitor and having to clean up old lady blood, brains, and hair, and all the other associated bodily fluids that come with destroying a human being. So here's some more royalty that we're going to get into. This is one that probably everybody's heard of, at least the name, Mary, Queen of Scots.
Yes.
She's born December 8th, 1542, and was the only legitimate child that survived until adulthood of King James V of Scotland. She was 6 days old when James died, and she became the ruler of Scotland, which, probably has some help there, being, 6 days old and whatnot. 1558, at the age of 16, she was married to Dauphin of France, which made her the Queen Regent of France from 1559 until 1560, when Dauphin died. She returns back to Scotland and married a half-cousin. There's our connection, a guy named Henry Stuart, who was the Lord of Darnley, and they had a son, a son named James in 1566, if I could talk. In 1567, an explosion rocked the Darnley residence, and the Lord was found murdered in the garden. So we're getting into some clue stuff here. Most people believe that James Hepburn, the fourth Earl of Bothwell, was the driving force behind the bombing and the murder. I didn't know they did bombings in 1560, but they apparently did. He was acquitted of the charges and then married Mary within a month. So that's not
That's
that's
not
not
suspect.
strange or anything. Yeah. He waited. He let her mourn, 30 days. And I'm sorry I killed your cousin husband, but now that you're not busy.
Let's get
On
busy.
August 11th, on August 11th, 1586, she was arrested in connection with the Babington plot, which no big deal, just a plan to assassinate Queen Elizabeth I, who was a Protestant, and to put Mary, a Catholic, on the throne. So old Liz here is a little pissy that her cousin would want to take her place. So Mary's hauled off to Forthinghay Castle, because it's not British enough to call it Forthington.
Hold on a second. What year was this?
This was 1586.
3 years before something else. But anyway, okay. When was the William Wallace? That was like hundreds of years before, right? And like the 1300s.
13 something, I want to say.
Okay, I'm just
because that would have been like Robert the Bruce
right.
times.
I know history, but I don't know it as well as you do. Not even remotely close. So I'm just trying to get my time frames, straight here.
Or like if you want to get into the history of it, William Wallace wasn't like all that big of a deal. He may not have even been real. But the character for Braveheart is a mix of what Robert the Bruce actually was and a guy named James Douglas.
I've heard that, actually.
James Douglas was a badass.
And actually, Robert the Bruce's lineage continues today in the royal family.
Yes, it does.
So that scene in Braveheart where he knocked up the queen was fiction, but very loosely based on fact.
Fiction-ish, yeah. And if you've ever watched or read Game of Thrones, the whole Red Wedding thing was based off of a thing that Robert Douglas did, where he went into like an opposing court's like wedding celebration for something and fucking killed everybody there, and he's like, "Yep, party's over."
You need to let me know when you're covering him, because I don't want to miss that episode.
That's going to be a long episode. That'll probably be like 3
I don't care.
parts.
I'll listen to it.
So on August 11th, 1586, I already said that part. So during the trial, she declared her innocence repeatedly, saying, quote, look to your conscience and remember that the theater of the whole world is wider than the kingdom of England. She's then sentenced to life in prison. Unfortunately for her, that'd be a very short life sentence, when 4 days later, she is dragged out by the guards on February 7th of 1587. She spent her final hours sorting her affairs and praying when they came knocking on the cell door. She's walked to the freshly constructed scaffolding up the stairs. She'd be forced to kneel on a cushion because she's royalty, so she doesn't have to be uncomfortable even though we're about to kill her. The executioner asked her for forgiveness, which was a common thing, I guess, for executioners of nobles. And she said, quote, I forgive you with all my heart. For now, I hope you shall make an end of me and my troubles. Her handmaidens helped her Her handmaidens helped her remove her outer layers to reveal a, quote, crimson brown petticoat. That was a fairly common color for the time and what's about to happen. And this is because
to spare the gore.
Witnessing the
spare the gore.
Yeah, it's like it's the Deadpool thing. It's a good thing this guy wore his brown pants. So they did this because the peasants witnessing the execution would try to tear pieces of clothing off as a keepsake, because humans have always been weird and morbid like that. She's blindfolded and helped to kneel on her cushion, and her head is placed on the block. Her last words were, quote, into thy hands, Lord, I commend my spirit. Which, that sound familiar at all?
No, who said that?
Oh, that's a System of a Down used that in Chop Suey.
Oh.
If my daughter had been on here, she would have gotten that.
I only know that because I just recently covered a crazy-ass Armenian, so when I posted it on Instagram, I'm like, I gotta find a System of a Down song because it's the only thing that makes sense. So one executioner holds her in place as the other raises his axe. She wouldn't have made the cut for this list if this had gone as planned. He brings the blade down onto the back of her neck. He lifts it again, and since she's still alive, he slams it back down, which at the time made Mary, quote, at this time, Mary, quote, made a very small noise. At this point in time, her head is still attached, but only by a quote-unquote small piece of gristle. And after completely removing her head, the executioner raises it and yells, quote, "God save the Queen." But not this one.
Did he say, but not this one?
No, I added that part, and that would have been funny as hell, though. God save the Queen. No, the other one.
The one
I
next
didn't
one.
just smash to death with an axe.
God, I want to come up with some way to tie these two botched executions by ancient British to the fact that they drive on the wrong side of the road now.
So as the crowd looked on, her head fell to the floor with the executioner still holding her wig. This isn't even the strangest part, because when the executioner picked up her corpse, they noticed a rustling in her dress.
She had an iguana in there.
No. They watched it in, I'm assuming, mixed horror and curiosity as a tiny dog crept out from under her dress. They tried to get the dog to leave, but it just laid next to the puddle of her blood.
So she had her freaking wiener dog in there.
Yeah. The first thing I thought of was like, oh man, this is like Fry's dog from Futurama.
Yeah.
Which is like still the saddest thing I've ever seen on TV. Like, oh man, I love this dog.
Oh god, especially when the Simpsons crossover and the dog's there and he just walks right past it. It was like, ah! Oh man. If you know, you know.
So we got one more old timey British thing to talk
about.
I
wasn't far. I wasn't far off with the iguana though.
No, it was probably some kind of a Yorkshire Terrier or something like that. But I also don't consider any dog under 30 pounds a dog. That's a cat. But I like big dogs. That's just me. So we're gonna stick.
Pyrenees.
That's a big dog.
It's a big puppy. I've seen that dog in videos from you, right?
Yeah,
sure. It jumps up on your lap. We'll probably see an appearance tonight.
No, she's down at the farm, barking off the bear.
I almost had an Anatolian Shepherd, which would have been really cool because that's a big dog. She was like a year and a half old. I think she was like 110 pounds. It's like, that's big dog. That's like my son could fucking climb off the couch and ride her across the room.
Hi-yo, Silva, away!
Yeah, right. Father, prepare my steed. All right, so let's stick with some more old-timey British stuff. We're going to talk about a man named Jack Ketch. Jack Ketch, John Ketch, Richard Jacquet, whatever we want to call him. He has a few different names. He would become the most prolific headsman in the history of the British Empire. There's no record of his birth or hatching or summoning or however you get somebody like this here. He became the leading executioner in London in 1663. But before that, like many other men in his profession, he spent most of his childhood as a street urchin and on ye old radar of the authorities. And he did end up spending a little bit of time in the Marshallia prison. That's what we're gonna go with. It's like if you mixed Marshall and Chelsea together. They created the English language and can't speak it.
Wait, I got it. Alligator Alcatraz.
No, that's down there with you guys. They should have just called it Jurassic Park. It's the same thing.
Oh god, that thing pisses me off.
We're gonna put a bunch of people here and surround them by dinosaurs. Like, that's some Australian shit. That's exactly what they did. They didn't put guards on the prisons in Australia. They're like, if you get loose, good luck. So this prison was in operation starting from 1373 and closed in 1842. For those that are bad at math like me, that's 469 years that this prison was open, and we're coming up on 250 in America. So, I mean, they've got bed sheets in England older than America, but okay. The first record of him as an executioner came via a woodcut from 1678. When he took his axe to the block for Edward Coleman, who had been accused of treason. He stayed busy for a couple of years until 1682, when he went on strike. He held out and got paid and went back to work. He's such a good guy that he would also accept bribes and money from people that wanted to be executed faster. And he would also
that
sell
reminds me of
chunks.
this meme that went around. Like, there's this welder, he's applying for a job, and they tell him, hey, we have two different pay structures, $15 an hour and $25 an hour. Let's see what you got. So he does two welds. One's like shitty, just disgusting, stupid looking. The other one's perfect. And he hands it to him and says, and they say, okay, what's that? It's like, well, that one, the crappy one, that's a $15 an hour weld. That one is a $25 an hour weld.
This one is me welding Chinesium together. The other one is actually good. So he actually made a lot of money by selling parts of the rope that they would use to lead the soon-to-be executed people to the block. He also would sell people's like belongings that they had on them when they went to be executed. Like he'd rifle through their pockets afterwards and be like, "Oh, cool, I'm going to sell this shit." Real scumbag.
So he's a precursor to people that raided true crime scenes, like the Bell Gunnis farm, or that was just the first one that came to mind.
Yeah, we had a pretty gnarly train wreck in the like 1870s, 1880s up here, where instead of pulling people out of a burning train or out of a frozen river, the people in town were like, free stuff. Just went and took all the shit out of the train that they could.
That's horrible.
Now they just film it with their phone.
Yeah.
Right?
When Bonnie and Clyde got shot, they had to physically stop a guy from chopping off Clyde's trigger finger as a souvenir.
Oh, crap. I'm surprised it was still left with the amount of times they got shot.
No kidding.
Right.
They put like 300 some odd rounds through that car.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, they Swiss cheese that thing. That was
I've always wanted to see it. You can go see it.
Yeah, it's at
it's right. It's in a museum somewhere.
I think it's in Chicago, isn't it? I don't know. Let us know in the comments if you know.
Oh, and
unknowable.
Before we go too far, it wasn't just like clothing and pocket trinkets. He was actually selling parts of people, like fingers and toes and all that stuff too.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. $5.
Y'all want a pinky and a jar of whiskey? Here you go.
Fuck yeah.
32 pounds, please.
Precursor to the tequila worm.
There was I can't remember where it was. There was a whiskey toe at a bar somewhere where you could do shots, but you had to make sure the toe touched your lips as you did them. Yeah. I think it was like New York or something.
That is insanity, dude.
Yeah.
Did you do it?
Oh, God, no. I like whiskey, not that much, though.
I mean, it should be sterile if it's alcohol, in theory.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that in like modern true crime, somebody hasn't like dug up Michael Malloy's corpse and like grabbed the toe off of him and dropped that in somebody's drink or something.
He would probably look the same as he did when he died too, because he was pretty well.
Yeah,
preserved.
He was.
I mean, almost pickled, I would say.
Well, you know that Starr wanted to take Charlie Manson's corpse and put it in and have it mummified and bring it on tour on like the carnivals and shit.
I'm divided on what I think about that.
Yeah,
I'm divided.
Yeah, and that's why he broke up with her, man.
They were actually married, weren't they?
They never did get married.
No.
Oh man!
But
and then he's like, "She wants my corpse. What an idiot! I'm never gonna die."
Of course, the guards are like, that's crazy old Charlie right there. He's telling stories again.
I'm divided on how I feel about that.
I think it would have been cool, dude. He should have.
I know, but at the same time, I mean, she's just she's a hot young woman and everything. He should have known.
She was fucking Grey Wolf, dude, and it was reported in, of all places, the National Enquirer.
Holy shit!
You know, you're a lowly newspaper when they're like, Charlie Manson's girlfriend's out with his best friend, and they got pictures of him, and they're like, "Don't take our picture." You're like, whoa.
Bat Boy's like just hanging out in the background drinking a beer.
Well, she was a pretty girl. She was like 26 when that went down.
Then she shaved her head and carved an X into her. Everything. She did the whole thing.
Really? I didn't know that.
She still looked hot. Yeah, and she still looked really cute, I thought, with her head shaved and an X carved in her forehead. Kind of cuter in a weird way, you know?
Damn.
Like that's the kind of woman that you're like, yeah, I might wake up with a knife in my face one of these nights, but it's worth it. It's worth the risk.
Some girls look good bald, man.
Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah.
The first Star Trek movie.
Damn it! You beat me to that. I was literally about to say the girl in the first Star Trek movie. God damn.
Natalie Portman and V for Vendetta pulled it off pretty well too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Britney Spears didn't look bad, but she only allowed us to get a couple shots before she,
Yeah. Yeah.
tucked out.
I think Charlize Theron shaved her head for the Mad Max movies too, and she looked pretty decent.
Yes, she looked great like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. She could be in like a potato sack like 600 yards away, and you're just like, yeah, she looks great.
Totally, totally.
So there's some other stories that the rope. Whoops. Okay. So back to the rope sales. He was selling the rope for about $1 an inch, which is pretty good money for the time. And the bribery part comes in where there was a couple of people that were like, hey, if I pay you extra, will you make sure you kill me fast so that I don't have to die like incredibly painfully?
Right.
Crazy.
So the scary part about this is at this point they were okay. So the scary part is at this point when they were being hung, it wasn't like like the traditional like short drop, break your neck kind of hanging. This was more like they threw a noose around your neck, threw it up over the top of
And then pulled
the
you up.
scaffold, and basically lynched you.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would pay little kids to come over and hang on them.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. There was actually in my travels across the darker parts of the internet for looking at history stuff, there's a bunch of pictures from one of the concentration camps where they were hanging prisoners, but they didn't weigh enough to actually hang. So the guards would actually go over and like grab them around the waist and sit down to. Yeah.
There's a mathematical formula for how much you weigh to how long the rope is.
Yeah, there is.
Because if you make the drop 2 drop, it'll pop your head right the fuck off.
They did that to one of Saddam Hussein's guys when they hung him.
I'd rather my head pop off than be jerking around there like a fish for 20 minutes.
Oh my god. Yeah. They screwed up on the weight. They clocked him in at like 250 or something like that, and he was like 375. And they dropped him, and it ripped like a chunk of his spinal cord out. It was bad. One of my friends, his dad was over there. He was about 6 blocks away from that when they hung that guy.
What?
Damn.
Yeah. So this form of hanging could take anywhere up to 45 minutes. And he was pretty much the one that decided how long it was going to take to do this.
So he was a freaking sadist that got off on.
Oh, for sure.
Dude, the last public hanging in London was so recent that you could take the subway there.
The last time
crazy?
the last time they killed somebody with a guillotine in France, the first Star Wars movie was in theaters.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, it was 1974,
1979,
1975, something like that. Yeah.
You know what I heard today about the great state of Florida? A law was just passed, basically, making legal any type of execution that has been used in the history of the United States.
No shit.
But I mean, you can't be sentenced to it. Like if you want to be hung, you can request it.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't somebody requesting being shot the other day? Did they shoot him?
Yeah, there was one pretty recently.
Yeah.
Where they shot
in
the
Florida?
guy. But they have it.
No.
Yeah, it was
I
in,
thought
It wasn't in Florida.
Utah. I think,
But
Utah.
the firing squad is back on the table in Florida. Old Sparky's salivating right now.
It's interesting how they do the executions. My dad, he's such a crazy. He wanted to be one of the executioners at a firing squad. And so they put the guy behind a brick wall, and all you have is an open. You have to be a sharpshooter to even, you know what I mean, to apply. And with a brick wall with an opening over their chest, and then there's one blank bullet, and they mix it up, and no one knows who gets the blank. So no one knows who actually fired the shots. There's one of them's blank.
Right.
Another little fun history fact.
That way, plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Yeah. That way you don't have to go home and cry yourself to sleep because you just shot somebody at work.
I might have shot somebody. Not sure.
I don't think my dad would have cried himself to sleep.
No, it depends on the crime. Like if it was like a pedophile or something, like no, I'll do it gladly. I'll walk up and like put it in his mouth and shoot him.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. The term X marks the spot comes from back when they were killing pirates with firing squads, where they would take either a little paper card and they would pin it to their clothing with an X on it in the middle of their chest, or they would put them in like basically like a bed sheet kind of thing and paint an X across where they wanted them to hit. So that's where that comes from, is to make sure that you're hitting them. And
interesting.
Okay, my life is a lie. My childhood is a lie. I always thought it had to do with maps, but
well, yeah, they ended up like
pirates, maps,
Yeah.
all that shit.
yeah, they ended up taking it
Treasure.
because they're like, well, you've been killing
Modern
pirates
Star
like this. We may
Wars.
as well use it for something cool.
In Treasure Island, they would get the spot. Remember that book, Treasure Island?
Yeah.
It would get delivered as a big black circle.
Black
and then you
Sails
were
was a
in trouble.
great TV series.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved
all
that. That was
stars.
incredible. Yeah, I wish they had taken the same crew that did Black Sails and then did Treasure Island. That
that
would
would've
have been
been
Right.
amazing.
one that I just saw that got greenlit for starting production, I guess, is
Baseball 2.
FX is doing a what's that?
Baseballs 2.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Also Mel Brooks related. FX just greenlit a show called Even Younger Frankenstein.
Is Mel Brooks on
where
it?
they're gonna go.
Is Mel Brooks part of it?
He's writing it. He's on the writing team.
God,
and it's being directed.
yeah, he's
by
going for legacy at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's the guy that directed that show What We Do in the Shadows. He also directed that the last Thor movie they did. He's a Kiwi. He's a New Zealander. He did Jojo Rabbit. Oh shit. I say I think he played Hitler in that, which is actually pretty funny. But it like this is gonna be. I'm like, this is gonna be fucking good. If it actually happens, it's gonna be really good.
Yeah. Yeah. You think you got a lot of books? Look at his.
Yeah. No, I've still got more. They're just like in storage. I don't have enough wall to
that's
put all
just
my books
half
up.
that's just half of his books. He's got a lot more books at his other place too.
Damn, I like it.
Guess what I'm eating? Shrimp curry pizza.
That actually sounds good.
Never had it before, but yeah, it sounds interesting.
We've got a place up here that does a Clams Casino pizza. And when I was working at the dealership, one of the techs ordered it, and I was at my desk, and I could smell it before it came in the building. I was like, man, like that's strong. What was worse is
Like
this
clams?
son of a
The
bitch.
clams.
This son of a bitch microwaved it the next day. So like we threw the microwave away and got
Yeah,
a new
don't blame
one.
you.
It was
No
that
way,
bad.
really?
I was like, son of oh, dude. This is the same guy that would bring in like shrimp scampi and microwave it at like 8:30 in the morning and eat it. God, I hate you. One of these days we're gonna roll your box outside and push you out behind it. All right, we good? Okay. So one of his more notable executions was that of Lord William Russell in 1863, which is funny. He also shares a name with a Canadian serial killer / crossdresser, who was convicted for his role in the Rye House plot to kill King Charles II. The word spread that this was botched because Ketch was terrible at his job. Other rumors spread that he was bribed to make it more painful than it needed to be.
There's some truth to that, according to what you're saying.
Uh-huh. So after the first stroke of the axe, Russell allegedly said, quote, "You dog, did I give you 10 guineas to use me so inhumanely?" It took another 3 blows to the back of his head to kill him. Not the neck, specifically the back of the head. He fucking went after this guy. His next big one was in 1865 when the Duke of Monmouth was knelt in front of him. Keep in mind, at this point, he's been executing people professionally for 23 years. He raises the axe and swings it down into the back of the Duke's neck. Many people that they heard Monmouth say, quote, "too dull," and between swings. And Ketch...
More rocks.
Yes. Oh, more weight.
More
You
weight.
know what?
Yeah.
I got it.
That's the most metal shit that anybody has ever said when they're being executed.
Yeah, because it's like if somebody like cutting my neck off and it doesn't work the first time or whatever, I'm gonna be like, ah! And he's just like, come on, man. Put some more rocks on that
I
fucking thing. Come on, man.
I went to Salem, Massachusetts a few years ago. And we walked by, like, there's all kinds of like touristy shit. It's super fun if you ever get a chance to go. On like the very outside of town, there's like this gym. It's a very like dude bro kind of gym. And I walked by it, and there's like the big glass in the front, and on the back wall is just like giant black letters that just say more weight. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. Like, I would go there, except I'm a fat tub of shit and I don't do well at the gym.
I've never been a gym person. They always seem weird to me.
Yeah,
something about
it. I've got a membership to a gym that's open 24 hours a day, and if I go, it's at like 11:30 when there's nobody else there.
Almost seems
I just hike and like
almost seems
get like, I don't know, garden, like natural exercise. You know
the way
I mean?
they do it, it almost seems culty.
It is. Yeah.
Certain things are super culty, man. There's certain things like Pilates and other programs
Yoga
are beyond culty. What's the one where they like run? It's part of it's running.
Oh, CrossFit.
Yeah, CrossFit is super culty.
Those guys are weird.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to go and like, I don't get on the treadmill because I'll put on like 15, 20 miles a day at work. I just want to go like lift weights for a little bit, listen to Sabaton, and then go home and take a shower. That's my goal.
If there's a band that could inspire you to lift weights, it's definitely Sabaton.
Oh shit, yeah. Can't remember what one it was, but I was like, I have to put this on repeat because I'm just gonna keep listening to this because it's working really well. So anyway, after this guy says too dull, he took 4 more swings with the axe and then had to finish the job with a knife.
Oh.
This execution was so gruesome and disturbing that Ketch had been. This execution was so gruesome and disturbing that Ketch had to make an escape with military guard in hand. He died in 1686, and for the next couple hundred years, his name would be synonymous with a series of things. You had Ketch's Kitchen.
Job incompetence, maybe?
He died of incompetence?
Those Muslim guys, these Muslim executions are all done with knives.
This is true.
Yeah, those are dull as shit, too.
I've seen videos of that. I watched a video of that one time, and Nick Berg. I watched that, and I
that one was bad.
Threw up all over my fucking desk. I threw up.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
What's super cool is when you're at work filling vending machines, and one of your buddies is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm at work." "Cool, I got to send you something." And you open that, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? It's like 6:30 in the morning.
I will say that Nick Berg was worse than Two Girls, One Cup.
Two Girls, One Cup's silliness. It's silly. It's so obviously fake.
If you ever
one
get
lunatic,
bored
one ice pick's pretty hardcore.
That would be.
I think we covered
Two Maniacs, One Hammer.
I think we covered that one. I think
Luca Magnotta.
Yeah, shit, that was like episode 3. Yeah, we covered that one.
If you ever get bored and want to throw up, try to find the Funky Town executions.
Yeah,
those are nasty. It was a Mexican cartel.
Oh man,
I've seen some nasty shit.
I think one of that's definitely the worst one. But another one that would be right up there was this dude where they just got him like leaned up against a blue tarp and people are yelling at him in Spanish and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying. And then off camera you hear a chainsaw. I was like, oh no. And the guy just comes in and he's just like, like he's going out like lopping up lumber, just head gone. I'm like, holy fuck.
You ever see the guy with his hands tied behind his back getting his balls eaten by the dog?
No, I don't want to either.
Here do I.
So
gnarly. God. That made my nuts crawl up a little bit. Eesh.
So horrible.
Oh God. So Ketch's Kitchen would be the nickname for the room in Newgate Prison, where people would have their limbs tied and they would be like have their hands tied behind their back and they like run a rope up through a pulley and they'd yank down and it would pull your arms up behind you and like dislocate them and they would just leave you hanging there for a couple of days.
But it would feel good for about 20 seconds.
It would feel good after that first crack. And then you're like, oh, that's cool. And then after that, it's like, oh, you got to stop. And then all of a sudden,
you're like, oh, this ain't so bad.
Fucking backwards.
It's like, oh my God, God, that crick on my neck just popped. Yeah, thank you, God. Oh, fuck.
That's another one. Like the rack would be great for like a couple of seconds.
That's what I was thinking about.
It's like I cracked my back from my tailbone to the base of my skull. That was cool. You can stop now. Oh, the other thing they would do that was kind of cool is they would boil people alive.
The Spanish donkey was supposed to be a really gnarly one.
Yeah.
It's super simple. It's just
the bull,
the
brazen bull. Yeah.
You ever hear the story behind that?
Yeah. Only one person in recorded history was ever subjected to that, and that was the guy that invented it because the sadist king thought that was too fucked up.
Why don't you show me how it works? And it hasn't pushed into it. Like, one of the other like pretty nasty ones was the breast ripper, which was like two like salad like steak forks basically that they would put onto a clip on the wall, and they'd come up and they'd it was for witches, of course, because gotta get rid of witches. They would clamp it around a woman's breast and grab her by the waist and pull backwards.
That's a fair cop.
I mean, it proves that she's a witch.
Exactly. She floated, so I mean,
she weighs the same as the duck.
What are you gonna do? She turned me into a newt.
I got better.
Better.
Oh, we're treading in dangerous waters because I feel like between the three of us, we could probably quote that entire movie.
Let's do it. Let's fucking do it.
That's Patreon content right there, buddy. They don't get that for free. All right, so let's hop ahead a couple years in time.
If Matt doesn't want to do it, I could do it. I could script it. I know that movie well enough to where I could do it, and the three of us, we could totally do it. I do a shitload of voices.
I can almost do Full Metal Jacket from opening to end credits. Nice. I've seen that a time or two.
Oh man.
So let's jump ahead a couple years to Joseph Samuel, who's convicted of robbery in 1795, and he's then transported to Australia as part of a group of 297 convicts. The early years of the Australian penal colony were pretty wild. Basically just turned these guys loose in small settlements, and the guards didn't worry too much about it because if they got loose, wildlife's going to clean
alligator
them up.
Alcatraz.
Yep. Spiders the size of small horses that'll drag you off and eat you nuts first.
Hold on. As the Floridian here in this group, I don't like the idea. I mean, our governor just came out and said, "Oh, there's not going to be any environmental aspect of it." What are you going to do with all the shit and piss from that fucking place? Where is it going to go? I'm sorry. I'm serious. We've got enough problems in the fucking Everglades right now with the fucking pythons and all that shit. And now you're going to bring a whole bunch of people into there and everything. I seriously don't think you're going to install adequate plumbing. Septic tanks would just, with that amount of people, septic tanks would just like decimate the fucking area from underground, make things even worse there. You've already got the fucking bullshit, waste from the fucking sugarcane fields that are all through there. So what are you going to do? You're going to pump this shit out? You're not going to have it professionally done because, oh my God, that would cost too much fucking money.
It's going to look like those prison camps that you used to have out in Arizona where it's just like dudes in tents.
I'm fucking pissed about this. I really am. And it got fucking approved. Okay, Matt, there's like an old airport that they built in like the heart of the fucking Everglades, way back in the fucking 60s, I think it was. But it was supposed to rival the airport, the Miami airport. It may have been the 70s, I don't know. But it was abandoned. But the structure is still there. There's buildings and everything. What they're talking about is like putting up fences and a bunch of tents.
What, for making it a jail?
A housing place for people that are going to be deported.
Temporary housing location.
And a fucking
it's a concentration camp.
Basically.
Short term, yeah.
Short term, yeah. But still, I mean, it's going to happen. It's been greenlit. They're going to build it up. It's supposed to go in operation within 45 days. So basically,
you ever hear about all the sexual offenders that live under a bridge and stuff?
Yeah.
I think they ended it. Because they're not allowed to live. They're not allowed to live anywhere within a certain feet of a school or a this or that. And there was like a place in Florida where like the only place that was within the regulations was literally homeless under a bridge, and like they would tell them like you got to go and live under this fucking bridge. And there was like a whole community of
Damn.
people living under there and shit.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get sidetracked and everything. It just ever since I heard about this, it came out like a week and a half ago. It was proposed and it's already been fucking approved. And I'm just like, okay, what about the environmental aspect of it? What are you gonna do with all the piss and shit? They're gonna pump it into the fucking Everglades, is what they're gonna do.
Dude, I honestly thought it was an Onion article when I first saw it.
It's an old airport.
No,
they've got to have something.
The airport never. It was never completed. It's just.
Also, it's just like a run strip.
Yeah, I'm sure it was used by many, many drug cartels over the years, but whatever. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was an Onion article when I first read it. I was like, "There's no fucking way."
Real.
Like, huh? All right. So this turd escapes with a gang, and they go rob the house of a wealthy woman. In the getaway process, they killed a policeman that was guarding the house. The gang is hunted down and captured, and then put back on trial, even though they're already in a prison colony. The other gang members were acquitted due to lack of evidence, but because the woman that owned the house recognized Samuel at the trial, he was convicted and sentenced to death by hanging on September 26th, 1803. So he's tossed into a cart and taken to Parramatta, which sounds like a catfish, where there's a big crowd of hundreds of people that have gathered to watch this because, we don't have Netflix, so we gotta go watch them string people up.
And he said, "I'm not quite dead." I'm sorry.
That's not a rope.
I had to.
I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet. I feel happy. I'm sorry.
I want to go for a walk.
You have no idea how much you're foreshadowing this.
I figured that, but I also had to. I was pissed off because of my little rant there. I just had to snap myself out of it. So.
Oh no, I mean with the Monty Python quotes, you're definitely foreshadowing this guy's story.
I figured I was. That's why I did it. But
is it just a flesh wound?
It turns out that way.
I had to snap myself out of my freaking rage on my fucking rant a minute ago.
So a noose made of hemp was placed over his head and tightened around his neck. This is a different method of hanging that was still fairly common, where instead of a platform with a trapdoor, he was stood on a cart, and then the cart would be driven away, dropping him from the wagon. This is not going to break your neck, but it's going to result in that very long, drawn-out, slow strangulation death.
While being dragged across a road.
Oh, no, you're not being dragged. They pulled the cart out from underneath you.
Okay. Yep.
The cowboys used to do it, but they'd sit you on a horse and then just hit the horse in the ass.
So this particular rope is rated for 1,000 pounds for about 5 minutes worth of holding. Pretty strong rope. The man that hanged Samuel... The man that was hanged next to Samuel died after a few minutes, but Sam gets lucky and his rope is slightly too long and he falls and sprains both of his ankles when he lands. Because he hits heels first. He probably got those little stingers where you break those little bones in your feet.
Can they hang you again? Because technically you've been hung. You know what I mean? Like that was your punishment, was to be hung. So like you've been hung. You should, technically you should be allowed to go free after that.
You should. But in this case, they fit him for another one. And they force him back up onto the cart. Cart takes off again and he falls from the cart. This time the noose slipped off his neck and he landed pretty hard on the ground directly on his face because he's got his hands behind his back so he can't stop himself. So he hits feet first, then face first. Third time's a charm. Let's try it again.
I feel happy.
He's again fitted with a noose, thrown back onto the cart, and the cart's driven out from underneath him a third time. This time the rope snapped.
So
the crowd's pretty upset at this point.
We're 0-3 at this point.
Yeah, you're 0 for 3 at the plate today. We're going to call it a day. So the crowd that had gathered that was there for blood is now like, well, maybe we should let him go.
Mercy.
So a policeman that's doing security at the event went and got the governor, And when the two returned, they inspected the rope of the dead man and all the other ones that were used on Samuel and found that none of them had been tampered with. The governor then found this to be a sign from God to show mercy. So the town doctor treated his sprained ankle and he's sent back to prison for the rest of his life. So
He
that one
should have
probably
been
just ended up.
free. That's not
You
fair.
know what?
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry. If you survive those 3 attempts on your life, don't you think he's going to reevaluate his life choices at that point?
Probably, yeah.
So what?
I'm just speaking legally. Legally, they can't keep convicting
Right,
you of a crime
exactly.
they've already convicted you with. You
but
know what
this
I mean?
was hundreds of years ago too. But
Yeah, this
He
was
needed a good lawyer. Are you gonna do Boone Helm? Do you know about that guy?
his is wild. I didn't cover him in this
No,
because I want to do his entire story.
I will cover his execution.
Oh man, what a dick!
We covered his execution. You know, Todd and I, like, early on. I was gonna throw that in at the end because I mean that wasn't necessarily a botched execution, but what happened? Oh my god!
It is
Awesome.
It's a dick move.
Yeah.
So they're gonna hop forward just another couple years. Jimmy Lee Gray, convicted of the murder of 3-year-old Deressa Jean Scales in 1976. This guy deserves a slow, painful death. He kidnaps this poor girl and raped her repeatedly. The part that pisses me off the most is that he was out on parole after serving 7 years of a 20-year sentence for the murder of Elda Prince, who was a girl that he'd been dating at the time, and he killed her in Parker, Arizona. So for the murder of Scales, the state of Mississippi sentenced him to death in the gas chamber in 1983. He would be the first person executed in Mississippi since 1976. The day of his execution, he's strapped into the chamber, and as the curtain comes up so the witnesses are allowed to watch his execution. One of those witnesses was Dan Lowasser from the United Press International. The setup for the chamber is kind of different from how they'd usually done it, where this time there's an iron bar that runs from the floor up to the ceiling like a crusty old stripper pole, and he is chained into a chair with his back to the bar.
This is in the 80s?
This is 1983. So I don't know if gas chamber was like an option that he could take, or if it was either
they drop a thing, right? A pellet? Is that?
Yeah.
Is that how the gas chamber works?
B.
They strap you to a pole and drop like a gas bomb.
Well, they don't always strap you to a pole, but
they strap you into a chair. But this one just so happened to be secured to a pole. So before his execution, when he's being strapped in, Lowasser noticed that he has no head restraint in this chair. So he's locked in at the shoulders.
I think I see where this is
wrists,
going.
The thighs, and the ankles. The room is then filled with cyanide gas, or what the Nazis would have called it, Zyklon B, because it's the exact same thing.
They would have called it the final solution.
Yeah. So the gas creeps into his lungs, and
the guy who invented that was Jewish.
What's that?
Zyklon B.
Mm-hmm. So was the guy that created the entire process for it about 40 years before Zyklon B was a thing. Fritz Haber. Real piece of shit. So as the gas is creeping into his lungs, he starts thrashing around. So the way this stuff works is once it gets into your lungs, it starts to like immediately kill the cells in your lungs. And then it kind of moves into your heart and your brain through your bloodstream. And it's not a pleasant way to go. So he's thrashing around. And he starts slamming the back of his head into the pole repeatedly. He did this until he lost consciousness and died from the gas. Lowasser said, quote, Jimmy Lee Gray died banging his head against a steel pole in the gas chamber while reporters counted his moans.
How many were there?
Don't mind that. You killed a child, so.
Yeah. I thought that was going a different way since we were talking about Boone Helm. But I thought somebody was gonna like run in there and try and help him or whatever, and he wound up getting killed too.
That would have been fucking wild. Get this man out of here!
Into the gas chamber.
No, it just because it was just because we were talking about Boone Helm. Like I said, I'll cover that.
I just brought that up.
Okay, I'll cover that at the end briefly.
Let's move on to Jesse Tefero, who killed a 9-year veteran of the Florida Highway Patrol by the name of Philip Black. And he also killed an Ontario provincial police officer, Donald Irwin, who was visiting his friend, Officer Black, at the time. So he kills not only a Florida cop, he also kills a Canadian cop.
8.
Let's see here. How did I? This happened. I don't have an exact date, but it's the late 80s.
Okay, it maybe it rings. I'm not sure if it rings familiar or not, but
It may as we go through it a little bit more. So Tefero, his wife and kids were passengers in the vehicle when the killing happened. Another man named Walter Rhodes was driving the vehicle. So he just took the whole damn family out for a murder spree because,
because that's what you do.
Yeah. So to set the scene, all the passengers were sleeping in the car when Black approached the vehicle to see if everyone was okay. On approach, he sees a gun on the floor. When Tefaro and Rhodes exit the car, according to Rhodes, Tefaro grabbed the gun and shot both officers, and they took the police car to get rid of it. Eventually, after dumping the police car, the whole crew is stopped at a roadblock and taken into custody. And since this happened in the late 80s in Florida, Tefaro's days are numbered. And he's got a date with old Sparky.
Old Sparky.
When he is strapped into the electric chair, his shaved head was pressed into a skull cap. There's a sponge placed between his scalp and the inside of the cap. All part of the procedure.
Green
Very
Mile.
regular. The soaked sponge allows for better conductivity and a quicker death. That is when you have the correct sponge to use. The facility had run out of sea sponges, and the staff member that was in charge of getting the soaked sponge used a synthetic sponge instead. This causes the machine to malfunction, believe it or not.
I do remember this.
The process required 3 jolts, and on the third jolt, 6-inch high flames shot out from under the cap and partially burned it.
I remember this.
The entire process from start to finish took 7 minutes. You imagine that? You're just like sitting at home reading the paper and the lights dim. You're
that
like,
was the yeah.
fuck.
That happened. That was like that was literally the inspiration for that scene in Green Mile.
No shit.
Yes.
Wow. One of the inmates in the prison claimed that the chair had been tampered with to cause more pain than necessary due to his killing of a law enforcement officer.
They just put the wrong fucking sponge in there.
Yeah, somebody went to the wrong bucket of sponges.
In Green Mile, it was supposed to be a wet sponge, but the guy intentionally put a dry sponge into it.
Right.
But still, no, I remember that now. That scene inspired Stephen King to write that into the Green Mile.
Another inmate claimed that you could still smell burning flesh throughout the prison weeks later. And he was nowhere near the execution chamber. He was like on a different cell block. He said you could still smell it. Oh, and after Tefaro was executed, Rhodes took full blame for the killings, even saying that he had been the one that pulled the trigger. And he walked because he was found not guilty. And then afterwards, he's like, well, now that you killed this guy, I guess I can probably tell you that I'm the one that did it.
A double jeopardy law.
Yeah. We're going to stay in Florida. We're going to head to Jacksonville.
Oh, boy.
To visit Alan Lee Davis, who killed 3 people on May 11th, 1982. Nancy Wheeler, who was 3 months pregnant, and her 2 daughters, Krista, age 10, and Catherine, age 5. Both are shot. All 3 are shot multiple times. Nancy was hit in the face 25 times with a .357 revolver. And the police said that she was, quote, unrecognizable as a person when they found her.
Did they find like 2 halves of teeth and like put them together and like get a dental record or something?
I don't know.
I'm serious. I don't know. I
know. There wouldn't be much left.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know this.
Saying.
I don't know this one because in 1982 I was indisposed with other things. Episode 10 and 11. But still, it's just, what the fuck? 25 times, and they identified her.
Yep.
Well, I mean, she's still got a body.
Well, yeah. Fingerprints.
And I don't know if like her purse was nearby or something.
Yeah,
but,
probably. But still, it's just when you.
There's fingerprints. There's all kinds of ways you
Yeah,
could
that's
identify a
true.
body.
Even back in 1982.
I mean, I'm a gun guy. I have in the past owned a 357 revolver, and that thing was heavy. Well over it was probably close to 2 pounds, which is pretty hefty for a
3 or
pistol.
4 shots is going to make your face unidentifiable. And 25 times?
How many times
Yeah.
did he have to reload?
No, he just bashed her face in with it.
Oh, I thought
hit
you
her
meant he
with
shot
it.
her
Yeah.
25 times.
So
No,
did I was
he
like,
straight
wow.
up buffaloed her to death with a pistol. He
He
saved
pistol whipped her to death.
Okay.
Yeah, he saved the bullets for shooting the 10 and 5-year-old with.
Nice guy.
And they were both shot multiple times. So this piece of shit is marched to the chair July 8th, 1999. The witnesses said that during and after the execution period, blood sprayed from his nose like a faucet. Good. Officials claimed that it was a nosebleed, but due to this, he was but due to this, he was.
It was a nosebleed.
Yep.
From this floor,
these things
we were
happen.
talking before we started about my time going from California to New Mexico and Arizona back and forth for an entire month during the freaking winter. I had multiple nosebleeds, because I'm a Florida swamp lizard, and you know what? I need my humidity. But you know what?
This was like somebody turned a blood faucet on in this guy's head.
If it was going to happen, if it was possible to happen like that because of a nosebleed, it would have happened to me over there in the desert in the West Coast.
So due to this, he was the last person, extra crispy fried, that was made by Florida.
He was the last one?
Fun fact. Yep. He was the last one killed in the electric chair in Florida.
When was he killed?
1999.
Okay.
So fun fact, his last meal was lobster tail, fried potatoes, half a pound of shrimp, 6 ounces of fried clams, half a loaf of garlic bread, and a 32-ounce A&W root beer.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it does.
Right? I mean, if he hadn't killed a couple of kids, it'd be like, that sounds like a pretty good fucking, that sounds like a good dinner to me. I mean,
I can't believe I can't believe I didn't. We did 2 last meal episodes. I can't believe that he didn't come up in either one of them.
Put a knife in it. All right, so last but certainly not least, we are going to talk about John C. Woods. Woods is born in Wichita, Kansas, June 5th, 1911. He joins the Conservation Corps in 1933, but went AWOL for 6 days for refusing to work and was dishonorably discharged shortly thereafter. Dishonorable discharge or not, World War II kicks off, and we need bodies. And Uncle Sam took all 5'4", 130 pounds of John Woods.
A precursor to Pee Wee Gaskins.
March 30th, 1940.
He was an old Sparky.
Yeah, he was.
That's right. Yeah. March 30th, 1944, he is assigned to Company B, 37th Engineer Combat Battalion, 5th Engineer Special Brigade. There's no reports that he went AWOL or missing or anything like that, which means that this guy, according to the research that I had done at the time, that means that this guy took part in the invasion of Omaha Beach on June 6, 1944 for D-Day.
Prima Victoria.
And survived.
He's an American hero.
Oh, yes. He applied for and was accepted into the 2913th Disciplinary Training Center in October of 1944 and trained as a hangman. I couldn't find the job description numbers for that. Like if you
all right, Matt?
Yeah. Like Cher got on my court.
Oh no. Where like you would have like your infantry is an 11 Bravo, stuff like that. Couldn't find the designation number for hangman. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but there's one for French horn player because I had to put that in an episode.
I didn't even know that hangman was an MOS in like somewhat modern history of the United States military.
Well, hell yeah, because we got war criminals to kill.
Well, I knew about like
Nazis.
Yeah, I knew about that.
Hell
but
yeah.
as far as like I don't know. Okay, I guess it makes sense. Like you're the history gun. I'm just a freaking chucklehead that talks about true crime and makes fun of it. And then, yeah, I just use my fucking word on myself.
It happens. I posted on Facebook earlier that I was embarrassed at how long it took me to figure out how to spell the word skedaddle. So
I swear it's an I, not an E.
I had to Google
No,
it.
I swear it's an I, not an E. I saw that
Yeah.
post.
It's like, because I started with an I and then it
SKI.
I get yeah, and then I get the red squiggly and I'm like, okay, click it and like, well, tell me how to spell it then. Stupid computer. No.
SKE.
You have to work for this one.
I was thinking, okay, well, I was
So there is
I was humbled just like you were.
What's
I was
that?
humbled just like you were. I thought it was SKI.
So there is every possibility that this guy lied his ass off to get the job and basically to not have to return to combat. Also around this time, he went from the rank of private to master sergeant. There was no anything in between. He went from a private to a master sergeant, which is a huge jump.
So it was like Chris Pine in the original Star Trek reboot movie going from ensign to captain in one movie.
Yep.
So it was a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So between the end of 1944 and the beginning months of 1945, he hung a bare minimum of 34 U.S. soldiers in France for insubordination or abandonment of post.
They definitely deserved it.
He would also assist in the hanging of 3 other soldiers. Either way, 37 total that he took part in. 11 of the 37 at this point are completely bungled in one way or another.
Okay, here we
June
go.
29th.
I said, okay, here we go.
June 29th, 1945, he finally gets down to business and starts hanging Germans. He hung 3 for the murder of Lieutenant Lester Roos. Then on November 10th, he hung 5 more Germans involved in the Rüsselsheim massacre of a bunch of U.S. airmen.
This was the guy from your quote in the beginning.
Okay. Yes. If I remember correctly, I think the Rüsselsheim massacre was one of those situations where a bunch of paratroopers got like hung up in trees and on buildings and stuff, and the Germans just went through and fucking shot them all, which is a war crime because you're not supposed to do that.
Well, they shot like paratroopers in the 101st and the 82nd Airborne while they were in the sky.
Yep. Oh, so in the sky is one thing that you're like, by rules of war, you're allowed to shoot at them. But if they're hung up in a tree or something and completely defenseless, you're not supposed to.
Aren't they defenseless when they're paratrooping down?
Yeah, but you're shooting up at a moving target. A very small target at that point, too. That's pretty tricky.
I've lived in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Clarksville, Tennessee, so I'm familiar with the 82nd and the 101st.
Yeah.
And I've got friends in both divisions, so it's just like I'm a little biased.
Oh yeah. So his big moment came November 20th, 1945, when the Nuremberg trials began. 12 scumbags were condemned to die for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Because, believe it or not, the Nazis did some pretty terrible shit during World War II.
Really?
Yeah. Hermann Göring, who's the leader of the Nazi Party, he was tried in absentia because he had flown from Germany over Scotland, dumped out of his plane midair, and parachuted into Scotland, and then he died of a drug overdose in prison. Because he was a giant like meth head and like pill addict. He was a.
Did meth exist back then?
Oh my God!
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Dude, meth fueled World War II. On everybody, Bill. Americans, especially the Japanese, they were all fucking when they were doing their kamikaze shit.
Okay.
Super methed out.
You got to go listen to my War on Drugs episode, Bill.
Okay.
I cover a Finnish guy that did some crazy shit on German chocolate.
I'm getting ready to get back into.
Hitler was shooting it up mixed with bull semen.
I'm getting ready to get back into
Hitler
a truck.
Was doing all kinds of weird
shit.
Getting
ready to get back into a truck. So once again, I will have plenty of time on my hands. So
perfect.
You know what you got to do when you're trucking? Some methamphetamine.
Nah.
You got to do like the old trucker toothpicks with the.
There you go.
Where they'd soak them and chew on them. So Joaquin van Ribbentrop, who that's another guy that I will be doing an episode on because he did some weird shit during World War II that kind of resulted in communism becoming what it was after World War II. He's the Minister of Foreign Affairs, um, Wilhelm Keitel, Field Marshal of the Wehrmacht, Ernest Kaltenbrunner, who is the Chief of the Reich Security, Alfred Ernst Rosenberg, who's the head of the Office of Foreign Affairs, Hans Frank, head of the Nazi government of Poland, Wilhelm Frick, Reich Minister of the Interior, Julius Streicher, who is a member of the Reichstag, Fritz Sockel, who is the head of the Labor Department, Alfred Jodl, who's the chief of operations for the Wehrmacht. Not to be confused with his cousin Hans Ricola.
Ricola.
Arthur Seyss-Inquart, who's the Chancellor of Austria during the late days of the war. And almost all of these shitheads are high-ranking SS members, which is why they are being tried. Here's the fun part. Our buddy John Woods would be the one to carry out all of these hangings. The U.S. Army, to this day, declines that there was any errors made. And if any errors were made, that's exactly what they were. They were errors. They were accidents, right? Woods decided to use the standard drop method of hanging instead of the long drop method. So long drop has a better success rate for neck breaks. Also has the possibility, like we talked about earlier, of just straight up
decapitating
like
somebody,
dandelion
yeah,
off with the head kind of thing. The standard drop doesn't break the neck, and it was often more likely causing the person to strangulate. But since these are Nazis, who cares, right? I don't give a shit. They're Nazis. Fuck them. Some notable stories from this were Field Marshal Keitel, who, when the door dropped out from under him, he swung and gargled for 28 minutes until he finally died. A reporter for the London Star that witnessed the execution said, quote, "The nooses were not tied correctly. As a result, some of the men smashed their heads and faces on the platform as they dropped. One man hit so hard that it knocked all of his teeth out of his head."
Damn.
The last one to die was Stryker, who was also witnessed by a reporter, this time from the International News Service. He said, quote, "When the rope snapped taut with the body swinging wildly, groans could be heard from within the concealed interior of the scaffold." So they've got the scaffold set up, and then they have curtains around the bottom of it. So you can see them drop, but you can't see them swinging. Unless there was like a light somewhere where you could catch a silhouette, but they did it so that you couldn't actually watch these guys die.
Well, that's psychological too.
Magic
That's
trick.
psychological too, because it's just like, all right, boom. And it's just like the footage might show, you're not going to see the person there, but you're going to see the rope going back and forth.
Yep.
Oh boy.
They would take these guys into the.
I'm sure that footage wound up on like movie reels, like in cinema in the U.S. during that time.
God, I'd watch it.
Of course.
So they would bring these guys into the execution chamber 2 or 3 at a time and like line them up. So you have to watch one of your buddies just fucking drop and then swing. Here's a quote from that reporter. "Finally, the hangman would have the decency. Finally, the hangman who had descended from the gallows platform lifted the black canvas curtain and went inside. Something happened to put a stop to the groans and brought the rope to a standstill. After it was over, I was not in the mood to ask what he had done, but I assumed that he grabbed the swinging body and pulled down on it. We were all of the opinion that Stryker had strangled to death. When all is said and done," Woods said, quote, "10 men in 103 minutes. That's fast work." Adding, quote, "He never saw a hanging go off any better." And he had our
10 men
opening.
in 103 minutes. They're talking about Nazis. The Nazis are like, oh no.
This is so inefficient.
Like, we Matt, you
are so inefficient,
you
Americans.
do it because you've got the voice as the Peter Curtin episode.
We got the trains running on time. We had everything working very efficiently, and you have screwed it all up.
Come on, Matt. You got something there. I know you do. The Peter Curtin episode, man, you were brilliant.
Be the Zane.
He's shy. But
going back to that quote where he said that he kind of accidentally gotten into the business a few years previously in the States, there is every possibility that this guy was part of a lynch mob that hunted down and hung a couple of black folks just for the mistake of being black, you know. So in total, he executed 92 men in his career, and he stayed with the army until his death in July, on July 21st, July 21st of 1950, where he himself was executed accidentally when he was trying to repair a light and set himself on fire after being electrocuted. So yeah.
Matt, since you got to go, I mean, thanks for coming on here. But you guys covered Boonhelm, right?
Yeah, we did Boonhelm.
You want to take his execution since you got a split?
Oh, geez, I have to try to remember exactly. He was up there. Well, you go ahead, Bill. You give it to us.
Well, the Boonhelm episode was, I covered part of it, during the tribute to Todd, but we didn't cover his execution. Well, I didn't play the parts from his execution in that episode, but his execution, basically, he was up there. Yeah, of course he deserved to die, obviously. Right. They hung one person.
Jumped off.
They hung one person, and Boone was next, and he literally, he screamed. He screamed like, he screamed something like, about
Geronimo
Jefferson Davis or something like that. I can't remember.
Jefferson Davis. It was some fucking rebel shit like that.
And
totally.
Nobody yells that when they jump out of a plane.
He jumped. He just dove off of the plank.
Knocked the guy next to him off.
When he did it, that snapped his neck. So he was dead right then because of his own force of how he took himself out.
Yeah, he wanted to snap his neck.
But when he stepped back, he took out another person who was on there next to him, and that snapped his. So Boonhelm is the only person in the history of the world who has killed somebody after he was already dead.
See, I was always under the impression that he intentionally jumped into the other guy to knock him off on his way off of the box.
It was on the backswing. It was on the backswing.
Like, that would have been the kind of dick move that he would have pulled, though. Be like, hey, buddy, whap.
No,
sorry.
It was on the backswing.
I'm taking you with me.
He took himself out. He's the only person in the history of the world that's ever killed somebody after they were already dead.
Oh, crap.
I mean, you know what? That is, I mean, Boonhelm was a piece of shit, obviously.
His grave is still there.
I know. I know it is. Todd and I were talking about going there and, like
Montana.
Doing it. Yeah. It's not in Montana.
There's an Old West criminal that I want to cover.
Yeah, it is.
Sure.
It is. Yeah. Because that's where he died. He died in Montana. But
there's an Old West criminal that I want to cover that had the most cartoonish death of all time. He was just like a scumbag, like Confederate soldier, then went on to become a cattleman, whatever. Killed a bunch of people, got into a gunfight with some people as he's running off, and fell under the wheel of his own wagon that he was driving and got his fucking head crushed. You're like,
nice.
Idiot.
What was his name?
Clay Allison. And unfortunately, I have a book that's part 1 of his life story that was written by like his great whatever grandson. And the guy died between writing part 1 and part 2. So it's like, shit, that sucks. But it's all like, it's like a self-published book. I got it on Amazon for like $4 or something. But got to dig into that one at some point.
Anyway, thanks a hell of a lot for listening, everybody. We all appreciate the hell out of it. And I just got to say thanks to History Goon Kevin. Check him out on his page. He's also part of the 1159 Media Group.
I sure am.
And also thanks to Murder Matt Brockmeyer of the Mighty Murder Coaster, one of the most polished, perfect podcasts that's out there. Unlike mine, where we just fly off the
Thank you.
fucking cuff. But thanks guys for coming on, and also definitely
Absolutely.
check out Crimes Coast Wholesome Beer wherever you get your podcast from, as well as History Gun and Murder Coaster. And if you like us, all of us, tell a friend. If you hate all of us, tell an enemy. And until next time, later. Say bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
I'm gonna leave that in. All right.
My beer review, I drank tap water. It was good.
All right.